night may be long and the dark may be deep, but the answers are there to be found. Whether it's the normal, the abnormal, or the paranormal, you're in the right place. Let's go beyond reality.
Welcome to the show. Great one lined up for you tonight as we start to close out 2020. 20 years after I thought was it going to be a year that would never arrive when I was a kid. I'm like, oh, that's the year 2020. Are you crazy? That's going to be so far in the future it'll never happen. It did happen. We're 20 years past it, which is kind of crazy. Remember the TV show Space 1999? How futuristic that was for anybody who is over 40 years old. Yeah, well, we've surged past that. Remember the Y2K thing? Remember how everybody was in a panic? Yeah. Well, that didn't happen either. But one thing that did happen as time marched on, here we are getting ready to close out one of the strangest years in modern history with 2020. And I think we'll all be happy when we can say good riddance to it. However, just, the calendar changing doesn't necessarily change the circumstances. We still have to deal with this pandemic. I was reading something earlier about new strains of this virus showing up in the United States, and that's got people quite concerned. Let's remember that China sent this thing to us, and let's make sure we're pointing their finger in the right direction. Anyway, tonight we're going to be talking about current events in a way because our guest, Cindy McGill, who's been on the program before, will be talking about dreams, particularly dreams that relate to current events. Stressful times do weird things to our subconscious. And when that happens, it often plays out in the form of dreams. At least that's one way it plays out. And Cindy's going to be talking all about that. Plus, she'll be taking your phone calls. We don't take a lot of calls on the program anymore. We just don't have the time because we've shortened the length of it. But tonight we will be taking calls. So you can write the phone number down. And when Cindy is ready, we will take your calls. And you can tell Cindy what dreams you've been having. And she'll help clarify their meanings for you. The number to call is 607-282-4029. I have to be very careful when I do that. I don't give out my personal cell phone number. I have done that in the past. And then my personal cell phone starts ringing off the hook as people try to get through to the show. It's kind of funny, but it's also very annoying. Either way, the phone number is 607-282-4029. I will be sure to post that in our chat room again as the night goes on. So when we start talking about dreams, we have to remember, some of the things on this show people know about but have never personally experienced. When we talk about ghosts, not everybody has had a ghost encounter. When we talk about Bigfoot, even fewer people have had Bigfoot experiences. When we talk about UFOs, that's in the minority as well as far as the number of people who've had one of those experiences. But everybody dreams. Not only does everybody dream, but everybody dreams every night. At least if you get to sleep every night, you dream every night. Not everybody sleeps every night. But we all have to sleep at some point, and when we do, we dream. Now, the interesting thing about dreaming is that we often don't remember what the dreams are about. We know we had them. Sometimes we'll wake up and we'll have just a piece of a dream in our mind and trying to figure out what the heck was that dream. I know it had something to do with this, but I don't remember any more details. Sometimes we'll wake up and we'll have vivid memories of what we dreamed, and and then it'll disappear within an hour. We can't remember after that, or we move on. Why is it that you can, well, most of us can. Sometimes I forget what I had for breakfast, but why is it we can remember what we had for breakfast all day, yet our dreams elude our memories often? Well, we'll talk to Cindy about that too. And in many cases, we'll have dreams when we scratch our heads after. We're like, what did that mean? Why was I dreaming about a monkey swinging from a tree, upside down while I was floating on a cloud? I mean, we have weird dreams like that. And Cindy is a master dream interpreter, so she'll be able to help us sort some of that out. Again, we will take your phone calls a little bit later in the show. Anyway, we're going to go to break. We're going to get our guest, Cindy McGill, on the line here. We'll begin our conversation about dreams. And remember, we will take your phone calls if you've had dreams recently that you would like to have explained. Cindy is the person to do it, and she'll do that gladly. The phone number is 607-282-4029. It's Beyond Reality, and we will be right back. Please support the program. Go to patreon.com/Johhaw. That's Johhaw. We have a terrific guest for you tonight. We're excited about tonight's program. Cindy McGill has been with us before. The last time she was here was April of this year. Boy, what a difference the world has made since April. But Cindy is a popular conference speaker. She's appeared on numerous internet television shows. She's interpreted literally thousands of dreams at places such as the Burning Man Festival in Nevada, the Sundance Film Festival in Utah, and adult conventions. She does that to give young girls a new direction for their lives, and countless other festivals, company events, and world conferences. Cindy is a mom, a grandmom, whose attention is focused on giving hope, purpose, identity, and life to people who are searching for answers by way of dream interpretation. Cindy, welcome back to Beyond Reality. It's such an honor to have you with us again.
Oh, thank you. It's always fun to be with you guys.
So I have to just comment. You were here last in April of this year. And like I just said, if we knew then what we know now about how things were going to change and how things were going to continue to escalate and just get crazier by the day, boy, we would have something to really talk about there, because I don't think we could have predicted any of this. It's been a crazy, what now? April's the fourth month, but crazy 8 months, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I think we all threw our yearly planners in the fireplace. We pretty much decided that we just weren't getting it, so. I
know a bit of what we're going to talk about tonight is how that craziness is manifesting itself in the dream world.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm getting dreams daily, pretty much from every platform they can reach me, whether it's Messenger or, Facebook or private email or website or whatever. I'm just getting swamped with dreams from people that are just really getting messages about certain things, about their lives, about the lives of others, about future things they think. So it's been a kind of a roller coaster for us too, just receiving all these different dreams. And when we get dreams like this, because of what my particular interest in dreams, they come from all over the world. They come from all different places. These people don't know one another. So some of the dreams are very similar in nature, and they have a parallel message. So that's intriguing to me when I get a dream and I see and read it and I go, oh my goodness, so-and-so over in England had a similar dream. And so I believe that there are just some radical, important messages being delivered to us right now because of the uncertainty of times and just people trying to navigate, trying to find their way.
Yeah. So what happens individually and then to us collectively when we get into a period of whether it's our individual lives or, as we're seeing right now, is the global life where there's so much stress and angst and uncertainty? What happens that fuels or funnels that anxiety and that energy into the dream world?
Well, I think, to me, I feel like when you're dreaming or when you're sleeping, that is a peaceful time. It's a time when you're not striving. You're not trying to find out answers. You're not racking your brain, so to speak, in the daytime. So in my mind, I think that dreams are a lot more vocal. They give us a lot more insight because we're not fighting them. And we're getting information. We're understanding things. Some of it comes from a processing out. We're always going to have those kinds of dreams, self-realization dreams, or maybe fear dreams, because people are really fearful right now because of so much uncertainty. So those will come out, of course, in your dream life. But I'm also noticing an uptick of people getting solid messages of direction, of, as it pertains to, should I move? Or should I, stay where I'm at? Or what is, what's my next step kind of thing? And I believe that we're being guided, we're being directed into a new future for us, as the dreams are coming and giving us bits and pieces of information that will help us. And, when when we were in situations like this, if you think about it, there were Native American tribes that actually they were called the dreamers. I forget which one it was now. I can remember it maybe in a few minutes, but they would have dreams about battles, about different things that they were going to encounter in the next day or two. And they were instructed in their dreams how to conquer, how to navigate, and how to overcome or be successful in the battle they were getting ready to engage in. And if they had, and they were so certain about following the instructions that they were given in dreams that they inherently embraced the name or were called the dreamers. And every time they obeyed what they got in the dream, they won the battle. So you see bits and pieces of history like that. And we're all kind of on a search. We're all trying to navigate. We're trying to see. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to understand how important are dreams? How much do they speak into our lives, and how do we, how much weight do we put on them? When we're receiving them. So, I do dream classes, and so people tell me their dreams in the class, and together we try and basically unpack it. I think it's good too, because when you have another person who can help you interpret a dream, you're not invested emotionally. So you don't have a dog in the race, so to speak. So if another person's telling a dream, you're kind of a blank slate to be able to hear it, to see what it says, to understand what it says, and then give information.
Well, where does the fuel for those dreams come from? And when I say fuel, I mean, you talked about the Native American tribe that was actually getting battle plans through their dreams.
Yeah.
And I know there've been inventors that have gotten, through hard problems in their work through messages they've received in dreams. Where does that information come from? Does it come from within us? Do we remove blocks in our minds that open up those doors, or is it coming from somewhere else? Is it more divine in nature? Is it more collective consciousness that we're opening up to? Where does it come from?
I think it's all of the above. But I do think that there is a divine connection, where, guidance, and, I believe in God. And so I think that, people have asked me before, well, does God give you all the dreams? And I go, no, absolutely not. But God made every dreamer. So that's just my position. But here's the deal. I think you can have a dream from your soul. That's your mind, will, and emotions. That's where you're processing all of the stuff that goes on in your life daily. That's what we can see, touch, feel, smell. All the five senses, are connected to the soul realm. Then you've got the spiritual aspect of dreams. You've got dreams from the spirit, good or bad. Then you've got direction dreams, or dreams that will give you insight or direction. And maybe it will be something that you've encountered along your way, along your journey, and someone will show up in your dream that's your boss or your coworker or something like that, and they have had a word, or they give you a word, and that happens to be a direction for you within your livelihood or your work. And then you've got warning dreams. And warning dreams, I believe, are divine. I think they're supernatural. I think they come from, I believe that they come from a place of light that gives you insight, wisdom, kind of a path redirection, so that you don't get yourself into a situation that could cause you great harm. This we've heard over and over again while we've interpreted dreams, all the places we've been. I mean, we've been literally, I can't even tell you how many dreams we've interpreted, but I do know that there have been people who have had dreams about a certain circumstance or something, and they dreamed it ahead of time. In my book, you read about the Titanic. How many people had dreams about that before they ever got on that ship, And I mean, it's documented. And so people had dreams about that. Some people chose not to go on that Titanic because of their dreams, and they were spared. And so those types of dreams, I think, are very important. And there's something that you need to really listen to. You need to pay attention to. You need to weigh it out. If you've got a premonition or an understanding or something just not going off right, on the inside of you, and you've got this dream, and now you've got a warning dream, that, it's going to crash and burn, or something's going to happen, something, pay attention to it. Maybe, err on the side of redirecting yourself or taking a different route to get to your destination, or put off a trip, or whatever it might be. One of the clearest warning dreams, as it pertains to a person, was a man. We were in San Antonio just doing dreams just around, just in parks and on the street, and I don't even know where. We were down there for a few days, and there was a man who had a dream where he saw himself run out of the front of his house, like the front door of his house. And I said, "Is it the house you currently live in?" And he said, "Yes." And so he said, "I saw myself run out the front door of my house I currently live in, ran across the yard, and I saw myself get shot and die on the front yard."
Ooh.
And I knew this is a warning dream from God. I just told him that. Whether he believed it or not, I don't try and force anything on anybody. I'm just like, this is where I think it came from. And I just gave him that information and let him park that. And I said, here's the deal. Front doors represent future things. Back doors represent past things. So if you're running out the front door of the house you currently live in, you're running across your yard, you see yourself get shot, you might want to consider your ways. In other words, who are you hanging out with, or who's got something out for you? And he told us that he had just, his brother had actually just gotten him into a gang.
Ooh.
In San Antonio. And I said, this is a warning dream. It absolutely is. And so, we just gave them the information. What they do with it, that's up to them. But I thought it was our responsibility, because I heard the dream, knew what it was, felt very strongly that it was a warning dream to keep him from an early death, and then begin to tell him, you've got a long life. You've got a successful, long life, but you have to consider the people that you've connected with, the path that you've taken, what you've chosen to do. And if you continue down this path, this is a very likely end for you. But you've got a chance to change it. You can decide that you want to disconnect from any kind of destruction, or any kind of destructive doorway or path for you. So, and we've heard those types of dreams over and over again.
Yeah. We just passed recently the anniversary of the attacks on Pearl Harbor that brought the United States into World War II. And I told this story then, so my audience is going to be a little familiar with it. But my grandfather had enlisted in the Army Air Corps prior to the attack on Pearl Harbor. And he told his mother, my great-grandmother, that he had enlisted and he was going to go. And that night she had a dream, because he had volunteered to go to Hawaii, to Pearl Harbor. And that night my great-grandmother had a dream, woke up and said, "You need to change it. Do not go to Pearl Harbor. Go anywhere else. Do not go to Pearl Harbor." And so he did. He took her advice. And sure enough, she was right, because the Japanese attacked it shortly after that. And, who knows what would have happened to my grandfather, but he wasn't there, so he wasn't at risk. I'm very familiar, even personally, with how those types of dreams can warn people of impending disaster or personal events that are tragic, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah. And I think, especially for grandmothers and mothers, we tend to get a lot of dreams about our kids, about our grandkids, that kind of thing. And so we are not just are we spiritually more, I think, connected a lot of times, but we're also intuitive. We have this intuitive knowing that something is up. And so with a dream like that about, that your grandmother had that dream, told your grandfather, he listened to her, which is amazing. I mean, because, and took her advice. I think there's some weight on it whenever there's a message given like that is so clear. And he went ahead and obeyed and did what he knew, because I think he felt it too. Usually that happens when we're interpreting a dream for someone on the streets or anywhere else. When we get it, when we hit it on the head, when we're like, that's what this dream means, they know it. The dreamer knows it. because it registers on the inside of them. And I think that's probably what happened with your grandfather. It just registered on the inside of him. And he said, absolutely, I'm going to change my whole course now. And as a result, you're here.
Exactly. So I'm kind of glad it all happened that way.
Right. Yeah.
Do you dream differently than other people do because you're so in touch with this and these ideas? Maybe you have the ability, because you've seen so much and heard so much about dreams and their meanings, to maybe open up a little more to your dreams, or is it the same for you as it is for anyone else?
Yeah, I think I probably dream a lot more, but I also interpret my dreams while I'm dreaming them. So that's a new thing. When I'm dreaming the dream, I'm like, oh yeah, I know what this is. And I literally, that's in my dream. I'm telling myself in the dream, oh yeah, you know what this is, And so it was a very crazy thing that I just do. I tend to do it. If I don't interpret it while I'm dreaming it, I'll interpret it immediately when I get up. Now, there's been some dreams that I've had that I knew that I did not have the interpretation to. I just knew that I had a message. I knew that it was important. I knew that I had to find some other people around me that were also good and again, emotionally uninvolved, so they could listen to me objectively and then give me an answer or show me something or kind of define it differently than I would. And so, there's been those dreams too. So yes, I guess to all your questions, I do dream quite a bit, but the thing people tell me all the time, I don't dream. They say, I just don't dream. Well, that's not true. You spend 1/3 of your life sleeping.
Yeah.
Most people have 4 dreams a night. So in a year's time or something, you've got 1,400 dreams that you've got, going on inside you all the time. Let me see what I've got written down here, because you'll spend 1/3 of your life sleeping, and you have 1,400 dreams each year. So that means by the time you're 40 or half your life, you would have had over 6,000 dreams.
Wow.
And then the other thing is babies inside the womb. If you're pregnant, your baby will dream.
Oh, really?
And sometimes, yeah. Mm-hmm. So your baby dreams, and then you're dreaming while you're carrying the baby. And sometimes the messages can be mixed, or they can be intertwined, because the baby's also dreaming. So that's a scientific fact. So there's just so much awe and mystery around the area and arena and of dreams. I mean, I think they're just much more powerful than we've given them credit for. And I think especially now, I believe that people have got to begin to wake up, pay attention more to their dreams. They seem to be being poured out in great measure. There's countries now that are having significant increase in dreams. Iran being one of them, Iraq being one of them. The Middle East is having lots of dreams that are very important to them, that are life changing for them. That and a lot of them are, excuse me, through women are dreaming. So I don't know, there's just, this thing is fluid. That's the only thing I can say. It's fluid. It's like, there's no rhyme or reason. You can't put a little pin on like a pegboard and go, oh, well, then, this is going to happen. These kinds of dreams are going to happen at this time, or this thing's going to happen here. They're just very unpredictable, but they're powerful in their message. To the point of redirecting an entire culture, an entire family, bringing people into a new awareness that they didn't have before, bringing them awakening. I mean, I always tell the Christmas story, about the 3 wise men that, went to find the baby Jesus, the whole Christmas story. But it says that they were instructed by Herod to go and to find the child so that Herod could go and worship him. But that wasn't Herod's plan.
Right.
That wasn't what he was going to do. So when they they followed the star, they were astrologers. And so when they followed the star and they got right over where Jesus was born, that night, it says, in the Bible, it says that night they had a dream. They being divinely warned in a dream. Now, you've got to think of the risks, okay? The risks were that if they had not returned to Herod, they would be in violation of the king's orders. So therefore, they would be executed. They would be stoned in the public square. So their lives were on the line. But it says they being divinely warned in a dream. And I went back and read that several times, and I thought, did one of them get up, have the dream and get up and tell the others, or did they all have the same dream? And this was a life-threatening moment. This was something that was not to be taken lightly. It says they being divinely warned in a dream. So I begin to hear, like what I told you earlier about people from all over the world are sending in dreams. They don't know each other, but they're very similar in their message. And so there is a message being universally communicated right now that is giving people very specific direction and enlightenment and awareness of a situation or of their lives or how they need to reposition themselves or that kind of thing. And that's exactly what happened. So when we found out, that if you've got, just say, people think, well, there's 3 wise men. Well, you don't know that. In Jerusalem, there were wise men coming and going all the time. That's just a historical fact. So you just don't know how many wise men there were. We think there's 3 because there was 3 gifts. That doesn't mean there were just 3. So let's say that there just were 3. But still, they had the same dream. All 3 of them the same night.
It's fascinating, and we actually just we're talking about the Bible last night. We had a biblical expert on, and learning more about some of these amazing events in the Bible that we often overlook. We don't think about them in the detail because the big story grabs our attention as opposed to some of these details.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so I think it's cool when you begin to break it down. And not only is it the bigger picture, but it's also life applicable. So, we want to be able not to miss something that could be a message for us that will be a game changer for us. And especially now. I mean, people are so mobile and there's so many things that are happening and people are having to make tough decisions because of COVID, because of a collapsed economy, because of all the discord and all the different stuff going on. Things are just out of control, it seems, at times in people's lives. And so they're having to make decisions that they never thought they would. And so I believe that too, and because it's been proven now, I'm watching it unfold. People are getting dreams about things they had been considering and even confirmation that they got to make this decision. They have to make this move, or they have to, change whatever they were doing. Now they're in a completely new era. And we've actually, as of the 21st, I believe, of December, moved into a new era. And I'm just learning about this myself. So when we were in the era of Pisces, now we're in the era of Aquarius. And I'm just learning about this. But it has to do with the constellations of the stars. It has to do with the setup of the world. It has to do with how many hundreds of years, thousands of years that we move into a new era. When we're in a new era, everything becomes different. You'll notice that, and that's what we're seeing. Yeah. Earth is responding to a new era that we've entered into. The whole atmosphere is shifting. The stars are presenting themselves differently. There's meteor showers going on all the time now. There's people that are much more educated on that than me, and I'm learning from them about those things. And then how does it figure into your dream life? Okay, so if the universe is beginning to tell us something, okay, if it's starting to explore, to give us an understanding of something, then our dreams are also going to begin to have more. We're going to have more, maybe messages that we just aren't familiar with, you
Right.
know. So now we go on a search. Now we're searching it out. Now we're looking for it, you know. There's actually a scripture in Proverbs that says it's the glory of God to conceal a matter. It's the glory of kings to search a matter out. And so I think that what happens is there's a mystery that is it's a tap on the shoulder. It's like, I want you to search this out, because in the search you're going to find out much more than what the dream could have just been a carrot in front of the nose. The dream could have been something to get you on the journey, but along the journey, you're going to get more understanding, more awareness, more revelation, more, you know, that kind of thing. It's going to start to open up for you, and it's going to make much, much more sense. It's like finding all the puzzle pieces to a 1,000-piece puzzle. And now you're starting to go, oh my gosh, this is not the picture that I thought it was going to be. But yet, it is my new norm. It's my new life. It's, you know, this is going to be an adventure.
We're talking tonight with Cindy McGill, Master Dream Interpreter. Her website is her name, cindymcgill.org. Her book is called What Your Dreams Are Telling You. Cindy, we're going to pepper some phone calls in here throughout our conversation because I know our phone lines will be busy. And if you wanted to call, that number is 607-282-4029. And let's actually take one of those calls. This is Maria in Texas. Hey, Maria, welcome to the program.
Hi, how are you?
We're doing great. Thank you. You're on with Cindy McGill.
Hi, Cindy. I had it was almost terrifying, but not terrifying at the same time. It was right after my grandson was born. My grandmother passed away 25 years ago, and we were really close. And when I had my oldest son, she got to see him, and when he was 6 weeks old, she saw him one time, and she passed away. And so it was like the biggest thing was for her to be able to see my children. But I have 4 children. And after my grandson was born, I had a dream where I had gone back to my house where I had lived with my grandmother. And I walked in, there was like a screen porch. So I opened the door and I said, Grandma. And then I was carrying my oldest son in my arms. And he was, like I said, he was a baby. And when I walked into the house, I could see my grandma, and I said, hey, Grandma, how are you doing? But I noticed that she wasn't breathing, but she was alive. And when I was talking to her, I'm like, hey, how are you doing? I did like I normally did. I made her dinner. I got her a glass of water. And when it was time for us to go, she says, no, you can't leave. You have to come with me. And I said, well, Grandma, I want you to meet my children. And she says, no, you have to come with me. And so I woke up sweating and terrified, and because it's like she was telling me to come with her and pulling me while she was floating away, but at the same time I was grabbing for my kids. And I didn't know if that was, maybe it was just a sign saying, hey, we're coming for you, or it was just something saying, oh, you're doing a good job. I mean, it was just a terrifying dream.
You know what I think? I think sometimes when you've got dreams like that are kind of, you know, terrifying in that realm, I don't think that she's saying, come with me now. I think she's saying at some point we will be together again.
Right.
And so I think that there was not a definite time frame delivered in that dream. And I think that, you know, when up in heaven, I believe that there's just no time in heaven. Okay. We're the only ones bound by time. And I think that it was maybe a little bit of a premonition or something to you that she's very close to you still, and that you will see her again. And at some point you will be coming with her. Right. And so, you know, it's a kind of almost a reassurance like you were close and you wanted her to see your kids, and she passed away right after the first one was born. And but it doesn't mean that she's forgotten you, or that you have forgotten her. And so to me, I've got an echo in the phone, so I'm trying to figure out why. I think that mostly that was because there just was no time. There wasn't any time given. She said, "Come with me." She wanted you to come with her, but you knew that it wasn't time for you to come with her, right? So to me, I think it's a comfort. It's just like, I'm going to see you again. We're going to see each other again. And there'll be messages. There'll be different times when people, our loved ones especially, I don't think it's them. I think it's their memory. I think that I think it's also, they come looking like themselves because they want you to be identified. This is who this was, and this is how close she was to me, and all the memories flood in, all the feelings flood in, all those things. But I believe that, this just had to do with a future time. It has to do with the time when you're going to be coming with her. You're not going anywhere soon. I mean, especially if you've got 4 kids to raise, it's almost like, I just don't get that feeling. I don't get that impression that you're going to be leaving anytime soon. I think it's going to be something of, a little bit later on. But again, to let you know, she's still, just because we're not here on the earth anymore doesn't mean we stop living. We're just living somewhere else.
Maria, thank you for the phone call. Appreciate that. Is that common, Cindy? Is it common for people to have dreams, particularly about deceased loved ones? But these deceased loved ones come through our dreams maybe to comfort, but yet it frightens us?
Yeah, it can frighten you. I mean, especially, it depends on your relationship with the deceased loved one. Like just recently, I heard of a man who lost his father, and about 2 to 3 days later, the father appeared in a dream and began to give him some instruction. And the instruction that he was giving his son, who was on the earth and his father was now passed on, was from a higher perspective, from a heavenly perspective. He called it himself. I'm telling you from a heavenly perspective, this is what I see. This is a time. There's no time. I don't have that block. I can see ahead. I can see behind. I can see everything because there's no time. So he began to give some instruction to his son about some things to come. And it was it was very important, and it was weighty. Like the message that he gave his son was weighty, and he took it to heart. He wrote it down because he knew it was a dream. And he wrote it down, and the message that was given from the father to the son were some instructions about him and his life and what he perceives or what he sees for his son in the future. So I believe that happens all the time. I mean, there's been numerous times when we've run into people who've just lost a loved one, or they've, I even had a dream like that where after my dad died, he died on Christmas Eve on 2000, right after his 80th birthday, one day after his 80th birthday. And about 2 months later, I had a dream because my car had died. I had a car that I drove them until they die, right? And the car had died. I was like, wheels up in the driveway kind of thing. And he came to me in a dream, and he said, "What kind of car do you want?" And I thought, I never even thought about what kind of car do I want. I was trying to think about if I should get this one fixed, right? And but my dad, when he was on the earth, he was a provider. That was his love language, was gift giving and being able to provide. He was just he always took to heart any gift I wanted for Christmas or whatever. He tried to make it happen. And we weren't like a wealthy family. That was just his love language. He just wanted to make sure that he met the desires of my heart, which was so cool. And so I thought, oh, he's telling me I'm going to get a new car. And sure enough, within a week's time, I had found a car. The price was exactly what I could afford to get. And it was the kind of car I wanted. And it had been on a website for a number of days. It was a desirable car. It had seat heaters and everything. We were living in Utah at the time, and that was important to me to have seat heaters. And sure enough, it was all-wheel drive, and it hadn't sold. And they said, we can't figure this out, why it hasn't sold.
Yeah.
And I said, because it was for me. And I thought my dad has probably, kept this car for me until I found it. That's how it went. But so, and sometimes it depends on the relationship that you have with your loved one. So if it was not good, or if it was a difficult, time for a person, and that person shows up in a dream, it could be a tormenting type of thing for them. And they're trying to move past it. They don't want to necessarily be involved or have necessarily have that visit. So, we have to kind of process through, well, let's go through the forgiveness part, because they're not going to bother you anymore, and it's only going to hinder you. So if you forgive, you let go, and then you can move on, because that way you don't let your past hinder your future. And so I try and bring some, let's let it go. And chances are, because I may see that person once, right? But chances are that dream won't happen to them again, because that person made a choice to let it go and just not be tormented, so the triggers aren't there and the trauma's not there and that kind of thing. So
let's jump to Vince is on the phone. Is this the Vince? Is this our Vince?
It is your Vince, JB.
Hey, Vince, good to hear your voice. Welcome.
You as well. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's to you guys.
And the same to you. You're on with Cindy McGill.
All right. Well, let me see if I can explain this in the way it was. I had many nightmares for many years in life, and finally got over those with the help of a sponsor in my program. But last night I had a strange dream, and I wouldn't call it a nightmare because I wasn't afraid at all. But I was in traffic, and there was a vehicle in front of me and a vehicle behind me. And, in some cities they'll run a little scam where one vehicle behind you kind of nudge you into the vehicle in front of you and to collect insurance money and whatnot. But in this particular instance, I'm on the phone talking with the gentleman, and the vehicle in front of me slows down, and I see what's going on. And so I get right up behind him, and the vehicle behind me comes up on me. I feel like it's a scam. So I'm talking to this guy on the phone about it. I said, yep, they're going to run this on me. And so the vehicle behind me gets behind me, and it starts pushing me, and the vehicle in front of me goes in reverse and literally the car starts smashing as I'm inside of it. Now, I'm not afraid at all during this process. I'm just like talking to this guy on the phone. I said, yep, they're trying to kill me. Yeah, they're going to smash me to death, And meanwhile, I'm just kind of looking out the passenger side to see if I can't squeeze out a little hole there in the window or something like that. But it was the strangest dang thing in the world, and I hadn't had anything like that, any dream like that in the past. So I was just curious if she had any thoughts on it.
Yeah, I do. Actually, I think that it's probably a transition dream for you. And what I mean by that is you're being squeezed out of something. You're being squeezed out of something that you felt was comfortable or that you'd been used to. And I think that now you're getting ready to operate in a new realm. What that means is you're probably, if your car is being smashed from the front and from the back, that just means that you're getting ready to get a new one, and it's going to give you protection, and it's also going to give you a new, basically a new job or something. In other words, you're being squeezed out of an old life or an old pattern or old things that have not been. They've been okay. You've been able to handle it, or it's been satisfactory for you. But I believe that just tells me you're getting ready to get into something new. There's going to be something new for you that's going to give you a whole lot more freedom, and whatever this thing was. You talked about the insurance, and they squeeze you and whatever else. I took it to mean you're just being squeezed out. the place you are is too small for you right now. And so you're getting ready to go into a broader spot with a newer vehicle. Vehicles represent life, and you're going into a brand new vehicle, into a larger spot and a larger place where you're going to have more freedom than what you had currently. And I think the fact that you were on the phone had to do with, with you communicating. It's a new form of communication. It'll be new communication to new people. It's going to be probably new people coming around you, people that you'll be involved with, people that you'll be working with, people that you will, a whole new kind of community probably coming around you, because the old one isn't going to fit you anymore. And I think, and you had an escape.
You still there, Vince?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Did you want to add anything?
No, I thought that was awesome. That sounds like good news to me.
Yeah, I think
it is good news.
I think it's a good interpretation. It's better than someone squishing you to death in the car. Hey, listen, Vince, don't be such a stranger. We love hearing your voice, and it's great to hear you. So Happy New Year and Merry Christmas. Before we go to our next phone call, Cindy, let's talk a little bit about the types of dreams that you're seeing people have right now. You mentioned getting flooded with dreams with similar themes. Are these dreams related to the stresses that the world is experiencing right now? COVID, the presidential election, maybe, as you said, a collapsed economy, racial riots here in the United States. Is it related to that, or is it related to this age of Aquarius transition that you were talking about, or are they all part of the same thing?
I think it's a combination. The dreams that I'm hearing right now, probably more consistently than I have in a long time, are tidal wave dreams. And tidal wave dreams are a big, they are one of the 10 categories of dreams, that I have decided or have heard, I guess, and all that. But now it seems as if more and more people are having them. Well, a tidal wave means that literally, if you think about it in the natural, when a tidal wave is getting ready to happen, all the water is receded out, right? So it exposes everything. Everything on the bottom of the ocean is being exposed as the wave is going out. But while the wave is going out, it's also gaining momentum so that when it comes back, it's going to be even bigger and greater than what it was when it went out. So I think that in a tidal wave dream, it has to do with things out of your control. But also, water represents refreshing. And it represents something new, and it represents a brand new surge of, refreshing, or it can be something that is overtaking you in such a large way that, and of course, I know about the devastation that can happen when a tidal wave literally does hit, like Thailand, I think, and I know about Hawaii. Yeah. We've read about those and different things like that. However, in a metaphoric sense, a tidal wave is going to bring you something. It's going to chase you down and overtake you. And there's actually a scripture about that it's the blessings of God that will chase you down and overtake you. And, I think that what's happening right now is that things are being pulled way, way, way back. And whenever things are being pulled way, way, way back, there has to be a release. It just can't be pulled back forever. It will be a release, but it will come back over you, and it will move you. In a sense, if you're in that tidal wave, you will be not navigating that yourself. That will be a force that is not your own. It will be delivering you into something else, and it will also bring provision with it. So that's what I think is happening. I think that there's, things can look so bleak. You remember, if we think about it in the natural, it's always, always darkest before the dawn.
Right.
It's always darkest before that dawn. So there is dawn coming. It's just that right now it looks dark. And that's where we have to say, do not make radical decisions. Don't make knee-jerk reaction decisions when things look dark, because daylight's coming. And then when daylight comes, you'll be able to see things you didn't see in the dark, when things were it felt like it was visionless, or you didn't have any light, or you couldn't tell what was going on. But that's been an uptick in tidal wave dreams. Couple people, maybe 3 to 4, have had earthquake type dreams. Again, that's another out of control circumstance, something where things are being shaken. And so, earthquakes can be on a lower scale. I think there was just one in Croatia today. And so, they can be massive, they can cause destruction, or they can just be enough to give you a hint that things are being shaken up. There's a marked territory that's going to have a shaking. There's things that need to be dislodged or disconnected from what we've been doing. So earthquake dreams are important. People have been being chased dreams. Of course, that's pretty common. Mm-hmm. And again, once again, they chase you into your future. So just because you're being chased doesn't mean that it's going to attack you and overtake you. It just means it's going to move you. You're going to get up and run and get out of the way and keep going. And it will literally be a tool to force you into your new future and your new destiny. And also, we're in times right now where things are going to be new. There's going to be a lot of new norms, new things that we thought we could live in before, we're not going to be living in the future days. So, there are some changes and shifts and shakings and priorities that are being shifted. Things that we thought were important are not going to be important anymore. Things that we are going to be paying more attention to as it pertains to your family, to provision, to looking out for each other. I'm noticing a lot of, just in the natural, just a lot of people taking care of each other. I noticed it in the store, as angry and as people can be because of masks, and all the stuff that we've had to abide by. I'm noticing people helping each other out. Well, in stores.
That's refreshing, because there is a lot of angst, and sometimes we tend to take it out on other people, not intentionally maybe, but it seems to happen. Let's jump to a phone line here. This is Joe in Buffalo, New York. Hey, Joe, welcome to the program. You're on with Cindy McGill.
How you doing?
Terrific, thank you.
Hi.
Good. I have a question. A few minutes ago, you mentioned that infants have dreams while they're in the womb. I should say infants, because it's before they're born. Say they're within the womb, and they're subjected to having dreams, I think you said.
Yeah, it's scientifically proven that babies are dreaming while they're growing, and they're getting their strength in the womb. Mm-hmm. And you'll notice, being a mom and have been pregnant, before and have children. So you'll be having a dream, and all of a sudden the dream will shift, and you're like, what on earth? That doesn't fit in there at all. And then we find out scientifically that the baby's dreaming as well. And because there's such a connection, because they're getting their food from the mother, the umbilical cord. And so there is this strong connection inside, and the baby is dreaming. Mm-hmm.
Have they ever done any studies on those types of, say, the mother? Later on, you hear about postpartum depressions and things of that sort. Have they ever found a key between unresolved dreams between the baby and the mother, maybe?
Well, yeah, postpartum depression is a whole different animal. It's a hormonal imbalance. And so that's after the baby's delivered. But I think that because we're so uniquely made and differently made, and we're wonderfully made, actually, that I think that the most impact of dreams for babies and mothers is going to be within while they're in the pregnancy state. And once the baby's been delivered, the postpartum depression has to do with just getting your hormones back in shape, because everything's been going, everything you've got has been going to give nutrition and give everything the baby needs in order to grow, right, and to mature in the womb. So, I haven't heard, I'm sure that during a postpartum depression situation or whatever, the mother's going to have some strange dreams, just hormonally. It's just weird anyway. So I wouldn't be surprised. But you'll also notice that babies will be dreaming after they're already in their crib and they're just small. They'll be having dreams. You'll see them laugh. You'll see them smile really big. Sometimes they'll move or jerk or they'll shake. And so it just has to do with, them growing in their life, they've been brought into the world now. And so now they're taking on their own identity. And but they'll, it's again, scientifically proven. So that's a good thing to know. That you're not just, it's just not, oh, well, that's a possibility.
Interpretation of dreams, and I often wondered if, are we looking maybe not deep enough? Because in a lot of studies, you never hear anything, or I've never read much on infants while babies in the womb having dreams. And I thought that kind of ties in a little bit with what Freud was maybe searching for,
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of study that we just haven't even taken the time really to research it out. If it's something you're interested in, there's certainly material out there about those things from pediatricians, from gynecologists, from sleep studies, that people have done, and there's a lot of science that goes into trying to figure life out. Life is very complex. And one size doesn't fit all. So, because we're so individually made. And so that's where we really have to begin to do self-discovery and understand who we are, what we're made for, how we tick, how we function, how we communicate. And the baby, of course, does the same thing inside the womb and then outside the womb as well. So, I haven't done thick study on that kind of thing, but yeah, I would say research it out for sure.
I appreciate you mentioning it, because I think that's an area that I find very interesting. I've studied it through the years, and I just didn't see that much material on it. And now I'm definitely going to do some research. You mentioned it,
Well, thanks. Yeah, thanks for the call, Joe. And those were great questions. And I actually have a follow-up question to what Joe was talking about here, Cindy. When you talk about infants in the womb dreaming, or you talk about, and maybe this applies to people who maybe live in isolation, or people who live in a different culture, who might not be exposed to the same things that we're exposed to. How can an infant dream without any references to life? When I dream about things that I've been exposed to. I may be flying in a dream. I may be caught in a tornado in a dream. But these are all things that I'm aware of. So that brings up a really interesting question about dreaming about things that you have no exposure to. Is there any? I guess I'll just leave it as an open question here. But specifically, what can an infant be dreaming about without any exposure to life yet?
Well, first off, God made them. Mm-hmm. And so, everyone is fearfully and wonderfully made. And you were created before the foundation of the earth. You were already, God already had plans for you to be born. And so there is a supernatural connection that takes place with an infant. And they are supernatural. They're beings, but they also have a body, soul, and a spirit. So they're going to be developing as they go along. And so just because we don't have our finite minds, can't, and in our limited ability to understand, does not mean that it's not happening. It just means that God is speaking to them. If you think about, okay, let's just talk about Elizabeth for a second in the Bible, right?
Okay.
When Elizabeth found out that Mary was pregnant by the Holy Spirit with Jesus, her baby leaped in the womb. He leaped in the womb. And so it's like there is a connection that we don't have. We just don't understand it, or we haven't considered the possibility that the baby was the first one to recognize, that Mary was conceived of the Holy Spirit. And so this is where we have to give room for things that we don't know. This is where we have to give room. We have to begin to say, you know what? I have been really narrow-minded about a lot of things. And I have been in a place where I have thought certain things, or I have understood certain things, but that doesn't always mean I'm right. And so as we begin to, explore things from a supernatural realm, we start to see things that are completely different than what we would have ever expected or thought, in the beginning. And so that's where I think that the more that we consider possibilities, okay, let's just consider for a moment, because we talked about we're in a new era, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So let's consider that because we're in a new era and things have happened, and we were even talking about COVID, okay? So we're talking about things we've never seen before, we've never known before, this didn't enter into our mind about being masked up, about being vaccinated, about any of these things, right? So none of those things did we have insight or revelation or even understanding about until it began to happen to us. And now we're starting to perk up and take notice. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So as we're growing, as we're living life, and as we're moving forward, we're noticing and understanding things. Oh my gosh, I didn't see that coming. Remember, I think in April, we talked about that very thing. We,
right.
We talked about the fact that who on earth we did not see this coming. But there were people that I talked about before, that did see things coming. I call them, prophets or futurists,
mm-hmm.
either one. And so, you just have to remember that that there's nothing new under the sun. There's just new things that we haven't seen before. Okay,
right.
So there's nothing new under the sun, but there are things that we have never seen before. And so here we are, and we're in this place now where we have to give room for the unexpected. It's beyond reality.
That's great.
It's beyond reality. And so because it's beyond reality, it just doesn't mean it's not true. It just means we haven't discovered it before. I mean, we could say the same thing about any kind of thing: airplanes, computers, DNA. The studies of DNA and all the different things, and identity and all these things, they were not really ever an issue when I was growing up.
Right.
Nobody cared. But now the scientific parts of it are very important. And so I believe that as more things are coming our way, we have to make room for them and say, all right, let's perceive where they came from. Let's understand what was declared by certain people who were futurists, who did see or did know things ahead of time. And two people that I mentioned last time, John Paul Jackson was one of them,
mm-hmm.
And he had a whole open vision of the perfect storm. And he saw a lot of these things happen. He saw a hurricane that would be 500 miles long, and they would have to develop a new category for it because it was so intense. And so things are becoming more and more intense, and the world is changing and shifting. And then we've got the God factor, who had mysteries stored up for us that he hasn't even shown us yet or told us about yet. And so now those things are starting to come into play. And now we're starting to, with our mouths open, we are like those that dream with our mouths hanging open, wondering what on earth is that, and what does that look like, and how does that affect us, and how does that affect me, and how do we make plans to direct ourselves through to the other side of certain circumstances. And then you've got the miracles that take place when you're up against the wall. Let's consider the Red Sea. When Moses was leading the children of Israel out of Egypt, and the army was chasing them with intensity, and he got to the Red Sea, and it looked like there was no way out. And all of a sudden, God told him, raise your staff. And sure enough, the Red Sea parted. They passed on dry ground, and the water swallowed up the enemies. So at what point do we put anything past a miracle to deliver us or to get us to where we need to be? The other thing, I'm a firm believer, is that, you're given so many days on this earth to live. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's appointed once for you to die and then the judgment, but we are given so many days on this earth, and we don't know when that's going to be. However, we do know that, that we have an assignment. We have something that we are meant to do. And I believe this is my theory of life. I believe that as long as we're doing what we're designed for, made for, created for, and we're in our calling or whatever, then we're going to continue to press forward. Are there going to be challenges? Absolutely. There's going to be challenges. Is there a way of escape? Yes. Is there a supernatural element that makes crooked places straight and rough places smooth? Absolutely. Is there something that happens at the 11th hour that causes everything to shift in a moment's time? Yes, beyond a doubt. Jonah was on a boat. He was supposed to go deliver a message to Nineveh. He didn't do it. He got on a boat. The boat was rocking back and forth to the point where they thought they were going to capsize, and they knew it was Jonah that was on the boat, and he was not doing what he should be doing. He was instructed to give a message to Nineveh. So they threw him overboard. It says God appointed a fish, a huge big fish, not a whale, but a fish, to swallow him up 3 days in the belly of a whale, and then vomit him up on the shore of Nineveh to give the message. I mean, I don't put anything past him anymore. I don't put anything past God. He can do whatever he wants, And so as it pertains to the dream life or to the open visions, let's talk about that for a second. People are having open visions. That means in the daytime, they're having things go off in their head just as if they had dreamed it. Okay. But it was a vision. They're wide awake, and what you see is what you get. It's like a movie playing off in your head. The same thing is true with deja vu. People have tried to scientifically decide what deja vu is. And I happen to think that it's just a bit of a confirmation that you're on the right track at the right time. Again, your life is, there's no time in heaven. So you're just where you need to be at the time you need to be there. That's why you've seen it before, because that's where your spirit man kicks in and says, oh yeah, this is where we are. This is what we're meant to do. We're in the right place, right time, going in the right direction. To me, it's confirmation. So, I feel peace, I think, knowing that we're getting messages. And as long as we pay attention to those messages, and as long as we discern where are they coming from, is this something I need to take action on? Is this something that I need to wait on? Like the woman who called and said the grandmother came and said, come with me. Well, there was no timeline on when the grandmother was going to have the daughter or granddaughter come with her.
Right.
So that was my tip off to the interpretation. There was no timeline. It wasn't like, come with me right now. It seemed to be urgent, but there was no timeline.
Right.
So, and so if there is a timeline in a dream, if you do see a date, it's circled, and you know that on this date, it is that specific that something, I have I've watched a video of a man who is a dreamer, and he had a dream that on November 3rd, he saw the calendar of November 3rd this year, and he saw a finger on the date of November 3rd, and the first part of the dream, and when he pointed to November 3rd, the finger went in a clockwise manner, and then all of a sudden it went in a counterclockwise manner. And he heard a voice, I think, in the dream that said, there is no president in the White House. Now, what happened was the election, you know this is all over the news, that the election was moving in a certain direction, and then at one point it began to move in an opposite direction. And that's why you've got all these lawsuits and the contested, all these. Well, he saw this. He didn't know what it was.
Right.
He didn't know what that meant. He just saw a finger on the date of November 3rd, and then he heard there's no president in the White House. So there was no confirmed president on November 3rd.
Right.
So it was a prophetic dream. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But he didn't know when he had it.
Yeah, I mean, how would you interpret it? In retrospect, it's easy to understand it now, but at the time, you'd be really scratching your head about that. We only have about 2 minutes left with you. We've had Tina on hold forever. I feel badly about that. So let's get Tina on here before we let you go, Cindy. Hi, Tina. Welcome to the show. Sorry to keep you on hold so long.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you sound great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I've had premonitions sometimes come true. They're pretty vivid. And one time I had a dream of a famous musician years ago, and I'm like, why is he in my dream? And then I wound up meeting him 4 times. And then I had a similar dream recently of another very famous person. I don't know if that's another sign. I'd like to get your input on that.
Interesting.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, and so the first person that you saw years ago, famous person, what happened to him or to them?
I met him 4 times soon after the dream.
Oh, okay. Well, there's every chance that your feet might be lined up, your paths are going to be directed. It did happen once. It's probably not unlikely that it could happen again. And I think, it gives you hope. It gives you something to look forward to. It gives you some kind of I like these kinds of dreams because I think they give you divine direction. It's almost like, oh, goody, something I'm going to get to meet this person, or this is going to happen, or my pathway is going to be designed and my feet are going to be ordered. My steps are going to be ordered in such a way that if it happens again and you do meet this famous person that you just dreamed about, I believe that you're going to begin to, it'll carry on into just fun things like meeting famous people. It will carry on into knowing certain things ahead of time. And I would call that a special ability that you carry. You probably were born with it. You were born with a gift to be able to dream a certain dream about something like that, and then have it actually play out for you, or it manifests, or it takes a physical presence so that actually, this does begin to happen for you. So I think those kinds of, they're kind of hopeful, actually. I think those dreams are hopeful because it's like, oh, I'm getting some hidden insight Okay. Like things like a little treasure was maybe hidden from, for me, just for now, for this time. If it doesn't happen, then it's again, you're awakened in your dream life. You can continue to realize that there are some things that are going to begin to reveal themselves to you that will happen. Okay. So you're already tracking, and so this will be good, and it'll help you, even with your plans, with certain plans, it'll help you to decide or to understand, certain pathways or things that you need to do or get to do, I guess. Some things we plan and they happen, and some things just happen for us, right? So
Right. Well, thanks for clarifying, because some other dreams have come true. Even I had dreams of people dying before their death, and it happened. So it's scary.
Yeah, that can be.
I knew.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I knew that you had a gift. I know that you have a gift. I know that is a prophetic gift. It's a gift that you see things before they happen. And so, you're actually able now to give maybe a simple warning. I would never go up to someone and say, "Oh my God, I had a dream that you're going to die." But what I would do is I would cushion it with, I just want to maybe help you. Tell me about your future. I would say to my friend, if I had a dream about that, tell me about your future. Tell me about what you see yourself doing. And this and that, and then agree with them about their future. In other words, kind of cancel that death assignment over them by giving them a future and a hope.
Thanks for the call, Tina. We appreciate you being on hold for so long and listening and calling and all of that. So thanks so much. Happy New Year to you. Cindy, we're basically out of time here. In fact, a little bit over time, but that's okay because it was a great conversation. Your book is called What Your Dreams Are Telling You. It's available where?
It's on my website, cindymcgill.org. I also have a documentary that we did at the Sundance Film Festival that you can download. I think it's a digital download for $10. And then we're trying to get some more. I've got another book coming out here pretty quick, I'm hoping. And it'll be about some of the encounters and some of the people and the dreams that we've done for people, all over the world, which will speak for themselves, so to speak. And then you can also get the book on Amazon. But if you go to my website, I can actually sign it for you and send it to you. If you go to Amazon, you don't get a signature. And so unless you're from out of country, if you're from out of country, you want to go to Amazon for sure.
And before I let you go, just kind of tying this all together with current events and the things that people are experiencing right now, what is your, we'll have to keep it a little succinct here, but what is your advice for people who might be having disturbing dreams that you believe might be related to environmental factors, these things we're all facing right now?
Yeah, I would say this. I would say you need to keep yourself in peace. All right. You don't know the outcome yet. You don't know what things are going to do. Again, things can turn on a dime. They can turn in a moment's time and be in your favor. You can begin to ask for the peace, ask for the spirit of truth to settle in on you while you're sleeping, and give you a rest and give you the ability to see clearly. I would even put my hands on my head at night and I would say, I'm commanding my mind to be still so that my spirit can get the spirit of truth and understanding and a genuine, raw truth, so that it's not mixed up with my emotions. And the peace will keep you. Perfect love casts out fear, okay? Because fear has torment. So perfect peace and perfect love go together. And I think if we just concentrate on those two factors and realize that this is a bigger thing than us, we don't have a lot of control over it. However, we can stay in peace. We can stay in perfect love. The enemy that we're fighting right now is not each other. It's just this spirit weird battle going on. And begin to tell yourself, speak life over yourself in the morning in the mirror. Give yourself a future. Give yourself a hope. tell yourself give yourself a future to live for.
Yeah.
And then also put your hands on your head at night and command your mind to be still so that your spirit can hear what your dreams, what the messages can be, and that they would be peaceful. And I have a scripture that I stand by, and I think it's in the New American Standard. I had to go Bible on you, but I will. New American Standard. It's Proverbs 19:23. It says, "The fear of the Lord leads to life, that one may sleep satisfied, untouched by evil." And so we have to keep ourselves in perfect peace right now, and that will keep us from fear. Fear it has no ability, no claws. It has no place to land. It doesn't have any way to get in and disturb us when we stay in perfect peace. And God says, I'll keep you in perfect peace when your mind is stayed on me. And that's in Isaiah.
Cindy,
those are things I do.
Yeah, and it's been terrific having you here. I really enjoyed it. I'm already looking forward to the next time you join us. So when did you say you'll have a new book? Will it be this coming year?
I'm hoping it will be. Yes, it will definitely be this coming year.
Okay.
And I will let you know when that
Perfect.
happens. And we'll plan on maybe getting together again with another dream thing, maybe toward into January or maybe first part of February. That works out for you.
That's terrific. Happy New Year to you, Cindy. Great to have you on the show. Look forward to the next one.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Beyond Reality Paranormal is hosted by J.V. Johnson and produced by Orion Palmer and Slick Eddie Edwards. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please consider supporting the program either through your podcast platform, click on the link in the description, or on Patreon at Joha Productions. If you'd like to be a guest on Beyond Reality Paranormal, or you have a recommendation for a guest, contact our producer, Slick Eddie Edwards. Eddie is spelled with a Y at slickeddieedwards@gmail.com.